All right, we're gonna try it again. It says you're unable to join. This is so weird. It says you're unable to join. So I don't know what's going on. Hold on. Ah,
Oh my God.
finally! I was
So,
like, why does it keep saying you're unable
dang.
to
Why,
join?
why did it take so long?
I don't
Like,
know.
it's so crazy. It seems like the beginning it be some. I can't see you, you can't see me. I don't know why the camera was flipped. I literally did nothing different.
I don't know. I don't think they like us or something. They like,
Look,
they talking about books.
we
Like,
gonna
who
get
reads
there.
books?
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. We're gonna be some professionals.
I know, right? One day I'm gonna have like the whole thing set up like how they do podcasts and stuff, and we can just
We're
like,
gonna have like cute chairs and like the long mics and stuff
I
with the
don't
whole band.
know. One day, one
You're
day,
gonna be drinking tea.
we
I'm
we're
drinking
gonna have to
wine.
get. I know we're gonna have to get there because this here, we're
For
on the
real.
beginners. We're at beginners
That's
level.
right. That's right. That's right. But we're gonna get
So
there.
I know what time is it. So we are time limited because we've been messing with this thing. I was a little late because I'm still doing laundry.
Girl,
So
I missed it because I was like, it usually sent me a
no,
notification. I was like, wait, what did I miss?
no. I had to go to the bathroom first. Then I went and checked on my laundry. Then we trying to get this thing set up, and I was like,
Right.
but
Right.
nevertheless, we are here.
Yes,
We
we're here.
have made it. So
Yeah.
we're gonna start with book two.
Okay.
We're
I'm gonna do
gonna
my
start
best.
with book
Do
two.
my best.
Do
Okay.
you still have the book with you?
No.
You turned it in? Okay. Hold on. I think I got a picture of like, because I actually have book two coming in on Thursday. Because guess what? I bought this one. I
Oh,
did. I was like, I'm just going to buy it. But I got book two coming in
okay.
Thursday.
Nice.
So
You have the whole collection. You have book one
I
already?
will. Yes, I do. Because did you go back and watch the live we did?
The
But
live.
the last one when we talked about Summer on the Bluffs, I showed it. I had showed it in there because I know you couldn't see me, but
Yeah.
when you go back and watch like the whole thing, I do show it. But yeah, I already got book one though. So we are anybody who decides to join in. We are talking about what's this one? Summer on Sag Harbor. Book two is this one right here.
Tell her I'm on my live. See what she wants.
Look at the baby.
Anyway. Yeah. Ask her what she wants. Okay.
Yes. So what did you think about
Okay.
book two?
Let's book two. I'm trying to think back. Because I'm trying not to say. I'm
Because
trying to.
we are on, that is Olivia, her new place that was left to her
Oh, yeah.
in
Okay.
Sag Harbor.
Mm.
And we have an
So,
introduction of new characters.
so
We
I was
also have it carries over from Olivia and Anderson and
right. And then
into
I
an
broke
introduction
up.
of yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I would say I enjoyed like her trying to find out about like her dad's family and things like that, and like meeting the people and meeting the community. I mean, talk about some money, man. It's like how, and I can't remember what was her name?
To my
The
Alma?
first one, the first, no, not Alma. The first one Olivia met when she got there, that was trying to keep the community
Oh,
together. And
Whitney. Yeah.
yeah, so Whitney. So when she first got there, she met Whitney about keeping the community together and all of that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
was like, that's good to see that rich camaraderie and things like that. So I like that whole atmosphere because I could like envision like all the money.
Yeah, I know. And remember, that's an introduction. She has Whitney is a new character, and the other ladies was it Cara, her husband, I think his name was Richard,
Yeah.
I think, and Addie. I can't.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then we also have Mr. Whittingham,
Yeah.
who was the neighbor. Uh,
Yeah.
who was the other one? B. We'll get to
And,
that.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
Garrett
Yeah.
Brooks, his
Yeah.
grandmother, his
Mm-hmm.
grandmother and his daughter. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. And then we get a reintroduction of like the ladies from the previous book,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
coming in. We finally get to uh we we get introduced to Olivia's mother, but in book 2 you get a little bit more
Right.
of her and her that whole family dynamic thing over there.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the land development with Whitney wanted to save the Sag Harbor
Mm-hmm.
community.
Yeah.
What so you say you like that dynamic, you like how they were really trying to band together to make sure that these people didn't come in and take their land,
Yeah.
like eminent domain basically.
Yeah, because I mean, especially when people trying to sell it. I mean, I think like it seems like the book came out like around that time, after COVID, when people were going through like so many financial issues
Mhm.
where they were having to make like some difficult decisions. But it's almost like think about it. Think about what you're giving up. Like I understand that this is hard right now, but think about this community that you really money can't buy something like that. So
It
I
can.
think I like whole dynamic of, because even now, and you think about some of the communities, it's like when we're selling, are we really giving away a community that possibly could be to
Yeah,
somebody else? So I like this whole thing, them trying to band together and like save their community because of especially with the timing of kind of how it all went down, like after COVID, when that was really nice. Like, I mean, somebody offered me some a big sum of money to make some condos. Hey, if I'm hurting, it
it
might look
sounds pretty
real
good.
good.
It
Yeah,
sounds
but
really good.
it's a community of people. So yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah, and it's so crazy. Like you tie that in, like you said, with a lot of the stuff that we even have seen here in our city,
Hmm.
specifically in the downtown area,
Hmm.
which is where I work. So I definitely have seen the change. And then
Yeah.
it's gentrification comes into play. Different commercial developments
Right.
that it's a risk or a reward. It may not, like, say they were able to take over Sag Harbor, but that's not a guarantee that whatever you bring in is going to last. We see a lot of businesses go out the window,
Yeah.
whereas Sag Harbor has been there since forever. So it's
Right.
like, I thought that was cool, the camaraderie,
Yeah.
of the ladies, like
Hmm.
getting together, talking about like how, they came in to be with Sag Harbor, their homes,
Right.
um, and just being proactive with
Yeah.
trying with what they needed to do
Hmm.
in order to save their community. And I
Yeah.
love like Olivia's expertise because she's into the
Oh
Wall
yeah.
Street, the all
Yeah.
the finances and all that. So she's great with numbers anyway. So she brings in like that dynamic as well to the ladies there, and it overall helps the community.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So then we meet. I'm trying to remember because I remember I read this last year. So we meet Mr.
Hmm.
Whittingham, and he's kind of like the go-to.
You
Huh?
know who you're? Did you ever watch Queen Sugar?
I watched it a little bit. My folks, they used to love that show, so I would catch it in between.
Well, his character just reminds me of like the guy from Queen Sugar, and I can't even remember his
He was
name.
the
Like the old,
older one, right? With the
yeah,
mother, the grand. Okay,
he just
I
he
can see
like he
that.
reminds me of him.
I
But
can see that.
yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, he has
Hmm.
he's kind of witty, you know, like his name Whittingham. like, and yeah, he's so calm. He's a really nice person. He's very welcoming. And, I thought it was interesting how he was always like having, the morning times with Olivia, kind of telling her about the history of Sag Harbor, even giving her interesting nuggets about her family that she never knew, because she went there to find out about her family. So I thought that was interesting, because boy, did it come into
I know.
I said, wait a minute, Mr. Whittingham, you didn't tell me all this. I was mad at him. Look,
like small nuggets. And then everything just blew up with
you
CJ. Like you just like you left that.
well, you
like,
didn't tell me that part. You could have told me that early. You surprised me.
like,
I
like you was
know.
just telling me about like he had a brother and what all these things his brother liked and how they were so different. But then
And
he
then
didn't say
they're
nothing.
twins.
Yes.
And I was, so did we so we meet the ladies, we meet Mr. Whittingham. She keeps in contact with Amma,
Mm-hmm.
periodically, through the book, because remember that was kind of like, remember how book one ended with her and Amma because of that letter. So she's
Right.
like, ugh. And she was kind of already on the fence if she should even go to Sag Harbor, because when she found out through that letter that, she felt Omar was responsible for what happened to her dad. So she was already like, yeah. But her and Anderson, they are now really in a relationship,
Right.
and they go there, but he's kind of back and forth between Sag Harbor
And
and
New
the
York.
city. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and, he's got gigs. He's trying to, was it acting now? All that stuff. And it was kind of putting a strain on their relationship. He does podcasting as well. He a jack of all trades. He trying to get the money how he can get it.
He was doing like Uber Eats or something where he
And
was
he was
delivering
doing
food.
all that. Yeah. And he missed the city life. That was his
Mm-hmm.
thing. And I thought that was interesting because, just like in book one, remember Perry and Damon,
Mm-hmm.
their problem was Damon, like he liked being in Atlanta. So he liked the big city life.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Perry was like, I can live over here in the house that Alma has. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that was like very similar to their
Because
relationship.
because Anderson did mention this isn't our home.
It's
Well, as
not.
Olivia was trying to like
Make
really
it
develop
her home.
making her home, and Anderson would be like, well, this isn't our home. So it was still some little things that Olivia was kind of ignoring, leading up to that breakup that were pretty clear like red flags that she was just trying to,
Yeah.
okay, I don't like that, but let's just see where this goes. So it was like he was dropping some things about how he was really feeling along the
He
way.
was.
So when they broke, I saw it coming. I saw it coming.
Yeah. And I kind of I felt it was coming, but I hate that it did.
Yeah.
I really didn't like how, I'm gonna tell you what I didn't like.
Mhm.
I really love the book, but I really did not like how the author wrote out Anderson. I didn't
Mhm.
like the story that she eventually gave him so that she can end up with Garrett. I really
Yeah.
didn't. And the reason why is because, and I like Garrett. I like his daughter. I think they're adorable, right? But you don't put Anderson in book two at a
Mhm.
place that
Mhm.
has so much meaning for
Yeah.
Olivia and Omar, and this guy is like a sign, and then to go into the next book and purposely break them up, like
Mhm.
it don't mix well with me. And then on top of that, you had her cheat on the guy, like that I
Yeah.
didn't like.
Yeah.
I know we can play the race card thing all we want because we do find out about Anderson's family and he's not with that. That's not his thing because we found out why he wasn't with that.
Right.
And I didn't like that. That's what I didn't like. I hated how she broke them up. Like, why would you, because I feel like if with Garrett, he should have been the one in books one introduced, for and at that place. Like that was a very significant place for Olivia and Omar.
Right.
Why I hate that she put him in book two to introduce them like that. Because to me, Garrett didn't come off as that good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know you don't care for Anderson, but I don't care if they together and they going through some stuff, but you don't just insert yourself into somebody's relationship. Like I didn't like how she did that. I really don't.
Well,
and I do like Garrett, but I just didn't like that part of it.
I feel like Anderson spoke to Olivia's insecurities. I feel like Anderson was something that she felt like she couldn't, do any better because he was never her picture perfect guy.
He was,
but she got him even though he was never her picture perfect guy.
Yeah.
So I felt like Anderson kind of had to be there, and they had to go through all that to break up, just so Olivia could see that she could actually do better. Now, I didn't like. I wish that Garrett would have kind of came into play after they broke up, instead of, because sometimes when you with somebody, you might stick with them like nobody else. But I feel like with Garrett being there, she kind of saw like, well, I don't know, Garrett looking kind of like what I wanted all along. So
and he appreciates her kind of in the way that Omar does, but it's different because Garrett's black.
Yeah.
Anderson loved her regardless.
Yeah.
And as we find out in book 3, when she briefly talks about Anderson, like the difference between him and Garrett is, I think she mentioned like she loved I think she said her and Anderson liked the idea of loving each other, then they were actually in love with each other. But I think that is a half truth, but I also think Anderson really did love Olivia.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he was with Olivia because she's black. I don't think that he was with her.
I remember the show when he did like all the black jokes about.
I know, right? Like I was like Anderson now, but see, that's what goes back.
Come on,
look, that's what goes back into. I hate how she wrote him.
So, yeah,
that's what made me mad. I'm like, that's not who Anderson is. You wrote him as all of a sudden like he's this type of guy. I'm like, that's not Anderson. That's not who we got introduced to. And that's why I thought
it didn't seem like him. Like the way he ended up didn't seem like who we got. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I still think that he did speak to her insecurities.
He did.
She never should have. I think she never should have got with Anderson knowing that that's not what she was gonna want. Because even she was telling, like in her therapy session, like I think she liked the idea of Anderson too. I don't think I think that if she had met Garrett, there would never have been an Anderson. It's just at the time that he came.
Yeah.
I mean, because
the time and place.
Yeah. Like even in book 1, when whoever the neighbor was, like had a girlfriend or something, and somebody she was like dealing with a little bit, but ended up like having like a fiance.
Yeah.
She was like, "What girl? Can I get somebody like just for me?" So when she got Anderson, it was like, okay, this is like good. This is my chance. But
and he actively pursued her. She didn't pursue him. Yeah. He came at her, and that's what threw her like. Okay, he's cute for a white guy. I just, like I said, I just didn't like how the author wrote him, and in book 2, because I think her and Anderson could have worked it out if Olivia was willing to. Because the thing was, as we saw in book 3, we might as well discuss both of them because we trying to get them in because it coincides with book 3 when her and Garrett broke up. And
I
how
know
he was basically, yeah, girl, I said, oh,
girl, that had me on edge though. And I'm telling
I
you, it had me
I
on
was like, how
edge.
dare you, first of all.
First, her and Anderson break up. Like, okay, they about to get married and all this stuff. You finally get with Garrett, and you already cheated on Anderson with him, and now you and Garrett done broke up. Like, where is this
Girl,
gonna go? Like, what
I
is
said,
he
what's
doing to me
going
right
on?
now? I'm really thinking like, okay, Olivia finally about to get her happily ever after with Garrett that she been trying to get this whole time, and they break up. But
All
again,
because he
you know,
overheard in the heat of the moment, she had an outburst with her
yeah,
biological dad.
right,
And it wasn't, it was just a bad time. I mean, wrong place, wrong time. But we find out Gary had to work through his own stuff
yeah,
because he was expecting somebody to be picture perfect.
yeah,
And he
right.
ain't even picture perfect. Sir, you slept with a woman who was in a relationship.
Nope.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I need you to cut that out. Don't act
But
like you a good guy
he kept,
at that moment.
he kept
Like,
being there though. Like he
you know,
kept being. So, but yeah,
but
that was,
yeah, I do. That part was got this what made me a little upset because I still like Anderson.
but
I didn't want that
you know
to
what? Like,
end.
well, I just think it just spoke to Olivia's insecurities. She just
He
never,
did.
she just, it kind of had to happen. It had to happen for her because Anderson was just a part of speaking of her insecurities, I think.
Yeah,
And then even if we didn't break up, it was still the same, like almost the same stuff. Like it was
and it was
crazy.
a part of her growth. It's a part of her
Mm-hmm.
growth.
Right.
But I think for Olivia, her growth wasn't always necessarily just in her relationships with like Anderson and Garrett. It was like the things that she learned with the ladies in the community,
Yeah.
talking to different people that makes her
Mm-hmm.
want to be better. Um,
Right.
and also kind of getting called out because remember Addie, her and Garrett, are like they grew up together. Remember how she got on Olivia, like, I know what you was doing.
Right.
She was like, Gary's a good dude,
Yeah.
and you got a whole fiance. I know what y'all was doing, and that wasn't right. You
Yeah.
and she could have easily went to Anderson and like
Yeah.
told him what was going on. Because remember, Olivia and Addie were kind of bumping heads.
But now, who was the person that she saw in like the house or something? She saw somebody in the house. Which friend was it that had the
What you mean?
husband?
That was
You remember that?
Cara. Yeah, that's
Okay, so
Cara. They have like that was weird. I think they had like an open marriage. So
and she
like,
was trying to say like, you need to mind, like she trying to tell you, and she was basically telling Olivia to mind her business. We already know that this
yeah,
is going on.
this some Will
I was like,
Smith, this some Will and Jada Smith type stuff. It's
like,
like we got an open marriage, y'all. Like, what y'all talking about?
like what?
This ain't new. Everybody know. You know.
Yeah, because she was already like, should I tell her? And when she told her, she was like, listen, you need to stay in your life. Worry
This ain't your place, girl.
about
Worry about what you got going on. So, but like I said, I do like Garrett. What I did like about him was, how he's a good dad, obviously.
Yeah.
He had to basically inherit a property that belonged to his
He
grandmother.
was getting
You know,
ready to say, he was
he
getting ready
was because he was like, my wife is gone. I just
right.
lost my grandmom. I'm a single father raising my daughter. We already got a place somewhere else.
Yep.
Why? So, but I grew to like his character. I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't like that thing about him. I didn't like his insertion into Olivia. You know how the author wrote him
Mm-hmm.
inserting himself into a relationship because to me that made him look bad.
Yeah.
And then we get to B,
Mm-hmm.
who we find out is Edie, who we also
Yep.
find out is Alma's daughter and
Yep.
Billy's mother.
Right.
That was I when I started putting two and two
Mm-hmm.
together, I went, ah, and then how Billy found out that
Right.
was
Exactly. That was the thing. How Billy found out, And then her and the dad started back dating again. Like,
Right?
I
They just had to
was
get it
like, oh,
together. They had to get their life together. Dixie
and how
Jesus.
rude he was. Olivia would try to be nice, and D was all rude. Like, you need to worry about you.
Be over there
So yeah,
doing the same stuff Omar was doing with the bees. And I'm like, well, you know,
yeah,
that was a full moment, and it was so crazy because it didn't dawn on Olivia at first, and then she started looking at them like,
right.
oh, let
And then
me
you
get you
click.
out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but so what did you think when you found out about Cindy Jones, Olivia's mom, and her story?
So with Cindy, I
We
mean,
start book two because that's where it.
I'm like, 'cause which part? The part where CJ and Chris and who the real daddy is of Olivia, or her losing her husband, or
We go to the
uh,
beginning. How she found her relationship with
but
them.
but I mean, I feel like Cindy's story is probably true for a lot of people that experience that kind of
Yeah.
loss. Because for one thing, Christine has been herself the whole entire.
Ooh, I said, Lord, that's what got me concerned when book three was coming out. And I
Yeah,
read the synopsis. I went, she about to deal with
yeah,
this crazy woman,
right,
this evil
right.
woman.
Since
I'm like, I can't
the
stand her
beginning.
already.
Since the beginning for Cindy, so that's why everybody was trying to warn her about it. But I feel like Cindy's relationship with Olivia even shows growth, because she could have had resentments towards her mom, because her mom was to her just somebody that was like just did things as tasks, and she didn't really feel like her mom loved her. So
Yeah.
Olivia could have really resented her mom for that, but she didn't, and that was an area of growth that could have been explored a little bit more, because we mainly talked about, or the book mainly talked about Olivia as far as like, her dad's relationship, and now
Yeah.
her and Cindy's new relationship. But she could have resented Cindy, and she didn't. Because she didn't get what she thought she had from her mom.
That is
But
true.
Cindy, being a woman first, was going through all that stuff, and you know, um, CJ actually we found out CJ actually showed up when she thought he didn't show
Hmm.
up.
Hmm.
So it was just a lot of loss. Like, she thought she lost him in the beginning. Chris stepped up, but then when she really lost Chris, never knowing that CJ actually came, and so she really kind of lost twice, because she
Yeah.
lost when he
She.
died, even though she stepped up and was her dad, but lost CJ because he didn't come. Or she didn't
Hmm.
know that he didn't know that till later. So
Yeah.
that's lost there. So that's lonely, considering that you're thinking, that you're having to almost do all of these things yourself, and not really ever getting, because I didn't hear Olivia talk about anybody else after Chris. So that would mean, what does she get? She's got to raise this daughter and not have any happiness for
Yeah.
herself,
Yeah.
So,
And then
yeah, that's it.
it kind of, Olivia looks like them. She
Yeah.
doesn't really favor Cindy. Like, she didn't take after Cindy's side. She took more after the Jones side of the family. And
Oh, Christine,
what I thought
you're
was,
definitely doing. I'm sorry,
what I
Christine.
thought was, to me that part where, because, Cindy was best friends with Chris
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
Yeah.
so she had
Right.
to, when he showed up, first of all, before I get to him, remember, she was going to meet CJ's parents. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
Christine showed up to her apartment and wrote
Right.
her that check to get
Girl,
out of town. I was
ain't that
like, the
some
nerve. I was I was the disrespect. I mean, oh my God. And
yeah.
I just couldn't. I'm like, why?
Right.
And then and CJ, he really ticked me off, because he believed his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't, but if you know the type of person your parents are, and you know
Yeah.
they're not good, and you know for a fact that this person, this is your child. She's not with nobody else. You know it specifically because reading from book 3, like all the stuff that was going on. You know Cindy ain't with nobody else. Like, come on. Like, clearly, y'all, the two was together. And so for him to not even believe that the child was his,
Right.
and then even when Chris did show up, that part had me, I was like, oh, look
Yeah.
at Chris. I grew to love Chris. Just like that, I was like, even though Chris showed up and he got there before CJ did,
Mm-hmm.
even with all of that, he still could have found a way to Cindy.
Yeah.
Like he still could have. He just didn't do it because he was a coward. Like he
Right.
said, he was a coward. And I
Right.
was like, you messed up. That was 30 years
Mm-hmm.
that you missed. And
Yep.
then, Chris, remember she was telling when Cindy told Olivia that Chris wanted to, he would, because we talked about he wanted a whole basketball team, right? Because
Yeah.
he told him, Cindy, you'll grow, maybe one day you'll grow to love me, which she ended up doing. And,
Yep.
wanted a team full of girls. And
Right.
he
I
would
did.
take like
I like.
her, huh?
I like Chris. Like I
I
like
do
this
too.
character.
I wish he could have lived a little bit longer. Like if she had wrote him to live longer to see that dynamic. But
How,
remember, she said, okay,
Devon, I'll be right back.
okay.
Okay. Whew. Sorry about that.
That, no, what was I saying? Oh, the thing I also thought was cute. She was telling Cindy that Chris, like, remember back then they didn't have like sneakers really for women or for girls. So he would take like the get like her Nike shoes and he would paint the pink. I was like, oh my God. I said,
And she grew up,
I love Chris already.
and that stayed with Olivia even when she was an adult, because that was the color shoes that Garrett ended up getting her, some pink shoes to run in.
Sure
Blush was
did.
the. Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yep.
oh. you
Yep.
know so that was cute. And we know Cindy, you know before Chris showed up, remember she did go to their house
Mm.
and to give CJ like one more ultimatum, like, hey, if you don't show up to here, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, it ain't
Right.
no coming back. And remember,
Yeah.
that was also the night that their father had a heart attack,
I know.
CJ and Chris's dad.
And
um huh
Indigo,
I
like
know. I didn't
stories,
even know
like
they had a sister until book
I
3. I
know.
was like, because when she was, cause remember when Olivia first gets there and she's like, she's out there running and the grandmother pulls up and she's like, Indigo? And I said, who is Indigo? Oh,
Right.
I
Right.
said, it, she knows it.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was interesting because that, with Cindy, like that made me understand like why she felt the way that she was feeling towards Olivia. And it wasn't that she didn't love her. She was more than proud. She still had the woman's all her awards and stuff like in a storage. Like she was like, I got them if you want them. I ain't never throw them away.
Right.
So she was proud of her for a lot of her stuff. She just, she was going through, and so that was cool. What was the other thing? Is that about it in book 3? I think that they saved the community. Oh, Anderson's parents, his backstory, Anderson,
Right.
who his dad is an ultimate racist. And how they stole Olivia's diary to try to get intel on the Sag Harbor. I said, ooh, y'all so shady.
Dirty. Like, that was dirty.
And then Anderson, remember he was like, why he resented his dad and them so much was because, remember, his mom was sick. She had cancer, I think. And he didn't lift a finger to help her.
Right.
And so that was why he was not in, a relationship with his own father, because he was I don't condone that. They didn't even do anything for my mom when she was on her sick bed. So I don't have anything to do with them, because they were what are they? Ask Developers. That was the name of the company that was trying to, so that was interesting. But I feel
right now, okay? I want to go in Grandma's house. Okay, you about to get up to business.
She all in the
All right. She said, hey.
She's like, she trying to get her 3 seconds of fame.
I just saw the ponytail. She's just like, hey.
But you know what? Now go ahead.
The other part was Frederick Douglass' wife, daughter. That was
so we go book 3,
That was Indigo's friend that came back doing all that and was lying. The mama had
and look, still what you say? I said, hold on. You fabricated a lie?
To me was probably like the biggest, like I think that was bigger to me than Olivia finding out that CJ was actually her dad. It was when that lady in this big debate talking about she doing all of this stuff and the mama coming there like, I lied. I was like, girl,
I would have been feeling all kind of stupid. Like, what?
She doing all this conniving and trying to get back at the Joneses, and she ain't even related like her mom told. Like, it was I was like, her mom just lied to her.
And
like, that was to me the craziest thing in the book.
I had to keep my eye on that one because I had wrote it down. I was like, okay, who is this Bree? And then Lauren, the lady, her name is Lauren, so she was like, she knew Indigo. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write their names down because I was like, I'm trying to, connect the dots. I'm like a detective that got the board up and got all these strings and everything intersecting. And that was messed up. What's sad about Indigo was that she had depression. Yeah. And apparently she inherited it from Christine.
Right.
And that was messed up when she finally told her story about like her episodes and stuff and what her parents did to her. Specifically, her dad had her committed and basically was tortured. And I was like, oh my God, and she knew that she should have been better to her daughter.
Yeah.
She saw the signs, like she saw it and she just, how generations do, they choose to ignore.
Right.
Because they didn't have what we have right now with mental health. Like it was like like if it was in today's age, she would have been able to get her some help. Yeah. This was a completely different era, and so I thought that was sad.
Right, for Christine, appearances, not wanting anything to look less than perfect with her family. Like,
And it was
so
the
she
same
hadn't
that got brought
even.
to her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Because
Because remember how
it was.
she talked about her and her husband David. You know how they were more compatible for each other, like back in college. Because
Yeah.
the guy who was the guy she married? Because she been with him for a long time.
Yeah. The guy, like her current, who she was. I can't remember
Yeah,
his
what was
name.
his name? Not
I can't
Adam.
remember his. No.
Alan. Alan? Was
Alan.
it Alan?
Alan.
Remember, her and Alan
Alan.
were together, then they stopped. And so her and David ended up together because of appearances and their families. And then, but I still think she was, and she did say she grew to love David or no, Daniel, his name, I think. And she grew to
Yeah.
love him, but eventually, she started having an affair with Alan. And I was like,
That's
because he said he knew them for a long time. And I said,
yeah. It's
you did. Okay.
to know. It's so even for Christine to know that that was going on with Indigo and that she had the same. I mean, she still even we saw her episode like
I
in book
know.
that she still like. When are you gonna look? You still mean like
I
you
know
still
you was
do?
like when you said she is so
Yeah, like you still acting like this, like
Ooh,
you lost all this stuff, and you still is the same. Like that's the thing.
look,
Like
you remember that it was like it wasn't midway through the book. I want to say it was still kind of early. It was Christine and Alan came over to CJ's because Cindy and Olivia are there,
mm-hmm.
and oh, Lauren showed up. That was like
Oh
when Lauren
yeah,
showed up,
supposed to be
and it
dating.
was some kind of arrangement or deal that her and CJ had, and she was like, "You need to keep it your end of the bargain." So after
Right.
she left, that's when Cindy, like that was the moment I was waiting on when Cindy got on Christine, and she was like, "I'm paraphrasing, but she said like, aren't you tired? Like you keep doing this stuff." Like
Yeah.
she basically just went in on Christine. I said, "There you go,
But
Cindy. Get that off
did
your
she get
chest."
slapped? Did she get slapped?
She did. That was when she got slapped. She was like, "I don't care. I'm a G. I mean, had to deal with this woman when I was pregnant. So no,
Oh my god! Like
it
that was
probably felt like a
hilarious.
little. It probably felt like a pinch at that point. Like Cindy was like, "I am made of stone. There's
That was
nothing that you
funny.
can do to hurt me any more than what you already did."
Did I read this right?
I said, "Ooh, she went in.
Oh
She
yeah.
went in on that woman." And it was, I'm glad that Arthur did that because I said Cindy needs to have that moment where
Right.
she can go at Christine. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like, she couldn't do this when she was 19, 20 years old. But
Nope.
now you fast forward 20 years later,
Right.
Cindy's what, like late 40s, early
Mm-hmm.
50s. And she's like, oh, I done went through life. I
Right.
got,
Right.
the kahunas. I can stand toe
Mm-hmm.
to toe with you now, and there's nothing that
Yeah.
you can do.
Because she got her confidence and she like, listen, when I come, because she of course probably hadn't even seen her since then, but she's like, I
Hmm.
do, and I got you ain't about to do this to my daughter, and it's like you get an extra
That
boldness.
that
Like,
part right there.
you
That's why
think you
she
about
went
to miss
with her because she was like, "You don't know
Mhm.
Christine. I
Right.
do." So
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
what was it she said when she asked her, "Are you tired of this?" Because she was said like something like she was creating that separation
Hmm.
between her son and her granddaughter. She's like, like what you doing?
Yeah.
You've been doing this forever. Why do you keep doing this?
Exactly.
You know. And I
Exactly.
kind of hated it. But what I did like was I did kind of like Christine and Olivia's relationship.
Hmm.
Remember when they went on the little shopping thing?
I
It
thought it
kind of,
was good until Christine showed Christine.
okay, Christine.
Yeah. Because she was like, they like some of the same books and things like that, and just talking. Because at that point, Christine wasn't doing all of that stuff with her and Olivia. So
She
Olivia could have
wasn't.
seen to see a different side of
Which
Christine. So
She ended up seeing, but it was just like that's what kind of ticked me off with Christine as well. Like I was like with her and CJ.
mm-hmm.
Christine missed out.
Yeah.
Like that 30 years just about that she missed on really having that kind of time with her own grandchild, who is a spitting image of her
Okay.
own daughter. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you
Right.
know, and it was like they had a lot of lost time. But CJ, finally like stepping up and was like,
30 years later.
30 years
30 years later.
later, did you catch it in there when he said something like my girls? Like it's
Yeah.
time for me to step up for my girls or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. I said, oh, okay,
Yeah.
CJ. Yeah.
It's time for Cindy to finally be happy,
Yeah.
instead of holding on to that stuff she had been holding. So
But you know what?
yeah.
Even when CJ told her, like, what was it? It was a part in there where he said, he had called and Chris
Mm-hmm.
picked up and was like, we don't want nothing to do with you.
Mm.
You had your shot. Like it's
Right.
done. And
Yeah.
heard her in the background. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, CJ. And so, but even when he told Cindy that, it was still hard for Cindy to even look at Chris like
Mm-hmm.
as a bad person because he came and
Exactly.
helped and he
Yeah.
disowned his own family in the
Right.
process. He was
Yeah.
like, bump them. I'm coming for you
Mm-hmm.
in this little pumpkin pie. Like, like he was
Oh
like,
my
I
God.
don't
Do
care.
you remember that part when Christine, what did she say? It was something about that pumpkin pie, but it was from Christine. I think
Oh,
Cindy
because
was like,
she used to call her pumpkin.
yeah, it was pumpkin. It was pumpkin. And I think Cindy, whatever she said to her, man, what did she say? What did she say, Sabun? You remember? What did Christine say? It was
Was it
funny. I'm gonna have to look
was
back.
it hold up, was it in the third book or the second?
I think I
Was
think
it
it
when
was
she came to the apartment? When Christine showed up at Cindy's place?
I feel like it had to be one of Christine and Cindy's first encounters.
So that was
And
book two.
and Christine said pumpkin or something. It was something.
Yeah, because she showed that was the night Cindy was supposed to go to their house and meet them.
Yeah.
Get like I'm now CJ's girlfriend.
Right.
But Christine showed up with a check and
Mm-hmm.
would call her pumpkin. And it was like, like,
Yeah.
but still like
Yeah.
it wasn't a good sign.
Yeah, because I feel like if whatever Christine said, it was like nobody called, like you can't call me that, or you don't have the right to, or something like that. And I just
That was
remember,
CJ's thing. I CJ
yeah,
Chris. That was his thing. I'm sorry.
exactly.
But Chris, not Christine, Cindy, she kind of put CJ down a couple of times. I said, ooh, whew, that was harsh. Well, she said, like, it was a part, I think it was after that whole thing went down with her and Christine
Yeah.
in the kitchen. And the next morning, he had asked her something about, he misinterpreted the whole dating thing. And she had
Mm-hmm.
said something like, I'm sorry you misunderstood. I was like, ooh. I was like, Cindy is not with it, TJ, okay? You on the
Go,
hit list too, bro.
go, go.
Come on, mama.
I might not have long.
Okay. We gonna try to hurry it up.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I thought that was like she was kind of putting CJ down for a while. Like she was not leaving herself open to him for anything. She's like, you're not forgiven. Like you were just as much to blame as she is, you
Yep.
know.
You can just
Uh
sleep in here and erase 30 years. So, you know.
yeah. But you know what else was interesting? Her reconnecting with her old best friend.
I know. No.
I was like, and I don't
No.
know what it was when they had that book club thing, and she was like, I know who you are. She called Olivia Jones. Like, she didn't just say, like, because Olivia introduced herself as Olivia J at the at the book
Book,
club thing
the book
in that
club.
little
Yeah.
restaurant. And she said, I
Mhm.
know who you are, Olivia Jones. And I went, how'd she know that?
I know.
And when I saw the name, yeah, because I saw the name and I was like, I think I knew that name. And then
Mhm.
lo and behold,
Yep.
her and Cindy used to be best friends. And when she told her that
Say the
she
reason.
wished she didn't miss out on all those years, because I think she was helping, it was her, Anissa,
Uh-huh.
and Cindy's mom for Olivia's early years was helping to raise her, and then Olivia's Cindy's mother died.
Mm.
Um, remember, and then and then Cindy just like broke contact with everybody because her mother passed,
Right.
and then Chris was killed, so it was just like a lot. And
Yeah.
so to see them reconnect, I thought that was sweet. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
She
Because
said,
I
I
mean,
wish
it
we,
seems like,
know.
because it seems like growing up, Olivia wasn't really connected to anybody
She
from
wasn't.
there. So seeing all of that, including her old best friend, I thought was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
I
I was
thought
like,
so too. And I think Cindy needed that because when she told, remember when Olivia told her
mm-hmm.
that to give that who this person is, and she was like, Cindy about cried. I was like,
Right. Right. So yeah,
oh.
that was
But
cool.
and then her and Garrett they broke up, but then they got back together later on. We're fast forwarding this because we are, it's a lot of
Right.
you know the same things. And then of course they end up getting married in
Mm-hmm.
the end. You
Mm-hmm.
know. So what did you think? Like, do you think, because the way it ended, I think this is the end of Olivia's story.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're gonna, because this, I don't, if I feel like this, if the author decides to do another story, it's gonna have to be a separate book series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if like if she does one on Perry and Damon,
Right.
that one needs to be a separate book series than
Yeah.
what she has instead of trying to continue it from this one.
Mm-hmm. I think
Because I feel like this like closed the whole chapter.
like it does too. I feel like at the end, because Olivia, which was Omar's favorite anyway, and just kind of seeing her story, how she went back to find her dad's people and what her ending was like. I feel like that's a good wrap up. I
Yeah,
mean, because we follow Olivia through book 2 and book 3 differently, but we still followed Olivia through both of those. So
yeah,
I mean, I think I guess I didn't realize that we would be following Olivia in 2 and 3 from 1.
yeah.
I thought it would be everybody like for book 2 and book 3, but I guess the other two god sisters they got their
Because
they
she was
got
the
their
only one that was single, but she had got into a relationship. Like Billy and Dolce, they got married.
yeah,
Perry was already married.
right,
Which by the way, they had the babies.
yep, yep,
So
yep,
I was like, okay. But
yep.
I think with Perry and Damon, if she does do a separate book series on them, it's got to
Mm-hmm.
be the home. What are they? Her mother's home is called West Tisbury, so it would have to be centered
Yeah.
around that family dynamic, like the generation of of her mother's side of the family.
That's what I would like to see. I would like to see that because I mean I know we told Libby's story and like how she became to be, but I would even like to explore Libby's marriage, Libby's family, like if Billy ever had like a desire to know, because I know she
Yeah,
reunited with her dad. I know she
yeah,
did that. If she ever had a desire to know like the rest of her mom's family because she's not really connected to any of them and how that dynamic would be I would be interested in. But I guess because Olivia I think it was more for Olivia than just marriage. Like it was just a lot going on. And I think with Omar feeling so guilty about Chris's death, that
yeah,
kind of it had to be explored more because out of the three God sisters, that was the most tragic. Like, I
I
mean, we
know.
understood it. We understood, okay. We understood Libby. We even understood B, which we found out is Alma's daughter. We understood that, okay, those make sense. But Olivia, like, that's kind of sad. Omar feels responsible for this man's death. So
Which
I
is
think it
why
makes
I'm
sense.
which is why I'm glad that they explored Olivia's side
Right,
the
right,
most. Look, that's my
right.
friend D up on here. Hey D. I don't know.
Hey.
She just joined in real quick. We're gonna be ending this like very soon. But but D, if you ever get a chance, this is our little book club. We've been talking about this series of books right here by Sunny Holston. It starts with this book, Summer on the Bluffs. You gotta check it out if
Mhm.
you can from the library. So she's done 3 different books now, and they're so good. And they're talking about doing the series, a television series on these books.
You know who
So
Alma be?
really hope they get that done.
You know who could play Alma? Lynn
Yeah,
Whitfield.
but I thought about that at first, but looking at the description of the character,
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about from the hair, the skin
Yeah.
complexion, the eyes.
Mhm.
I think it's Vanessa Williams. I
Well,
really do.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
you know who could play B? You want to know who can play her? Hold up, you kind of freezing on me right now. I don't know. They trying to make us in. We may have to finish this discussion later because you done froze up on me. All right. I guess we done.